So I think we're going to have some really particularly great questions. We're going to hear about, of course, Tori's music. We're going to talk about what she's done with RAINN, and we'll talk about being a survivor and on this journey. So they're going to spend some time up here talking, and I encourage you to enjoy your brunch and learn something new. So Sabrina and Tori. Tori gets the big stool. I get the tiny stool. Thank you so much, everybody. My name is Sabrina Rubin-Ertele. I'm a contributing editor at Rolling Stone magazine, and I am so thrilled to be here today to celebrate RAINN and to facilitate this conversation with Tori and Amos. As Tracy mentioned, these are questions that I've compiled from questions that you all submitted in the audience. And I have to say, they're really good questions, so thank you. So I know this is going to be a really meaningful and fascinating conversation. So let's get to it. If you'll hold this while I put the right.
I'm good at holding. But I think I'm going to stand because you get a better rhythm. Do you all talk on the phone walking around?
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
So let's just do it.
I bump into things when I talk on the phone when I walk around. Okay, so let's start by talking about the origins of RAINN, how it came into being. It started with the profound way that your fans reacted to your song, Me and a Gun. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I've been hearing many of your stories out on the road. Since I can remember, there would be a meet and greet, a stage tour. Sometimes it would be after the show, sometimes before. But you all would tell me your stories, and others. And then one night, there was a girl who had fainted after the song was sung. She had to be taken out and taken backstage. What began to transpire is I asked her her story. And she said, "Can I please stay with you? Can I go with you? Wherever you're going, I'll work in the kitchens, I'll do anything." And she was hysterical. And we asked her why, and she said, "If I go home tonight, then my stepfather will rape me, as he did last night, as he will do for the rest of my life." And in that moment, I thought, right, you're coming with me then. So, as word began to filter through the crew, and of course John was there, he was tour manager at the time, legal got on the phone with us and said, "You realize if you take this young woman, she's under the age of 16, you'll be arrested for kidnapping. You're crossing the state line tonight." So that was the beginning of the awareness that there was nobody to call. Not that I had an understanding of who to call, although there were rape crisis centers. This was at 11 o'clock at night, and I didn't know who to turn to, and I was really furious. And so the great thing about fury and anger is once you channel it, it gives you great strength and great power. And that was the beginning of conversations that would happen with some great women at Atlantic Records who were very concerned about the issue and were personally involved. They'd had their own experiences, a few of them, and that's how we were joined together with Scott Berkowitz. And Scott at the time had an idea that there was a real missing link, that there wasn't a nationwide hotline, and this was 1994. So of course this is before computers, and this is before a lot of how we communicate now. So it was very much about having a national hotline number that people could call, and the main thing was that we found if the perpetrator is in the home, which happens so much, whether it's a family member or a friend of a family member, and then the family is protecting the relationship with the friend, whether it's a colleague or uncle or a friend or brother or an aunt. That has happened, of course, as well, that you need the privacy. So it was important that it wouldn't show up on the bill, because then the minor was terrified that they would be exposed calling RAINN. So all these details had to be put into plan and activated, and that was the beginning.
Well, it's amazing to think that, so 20 years ago, you took that first call on the National Sexual Assault Hotline, and since then, over 2 million people have been helped. How does that feel?
Well, that's the bad news, because it's 2 million people, and there are millions more that haven't called. The good news is that there is, like we talked about, there are dedicated people, and some of those people are you, and some of those people are here today who will sit on the phone and hold a space while people talk to them in their darkest hour. And so to be connected with a group of people, it gives me great, we go back to gratitude, and yet there's a humility that the people that have to be on that phone line, or to be the first, what do you call it? Responder, is quite a responsibility. And I think for them to have to be able to be there in that frame of mind and get information, because they're dealing with shock, they're dealing with trauma, and they're trying to get the person through their next 24 hours, which sometimes is really critical. So,
well, you know, let's talk about let's talk about the song that kind of started all the good for a moment. Can we talk about the genesis of Me and a Gun? Because I do feel like that was a song that was the beginning of so much, not just RAINN, but I feel like it helped to usher in this new era in which people were willing to talk about being a rape survivor openly for the first time. So what inspired you to talk publicly about being a rape survivor during a time when no one was talking about sexual assault?
I saw the movie Thelma and Louise about 18 times, and it triggered something, and I began to open up to the muses who visit me. And sometimes you can push muses away, you can push ideas and thoughts away, because you don't want to have them, you're not ready to have them. And yet, it took some time for me to be open to this melody that was playing and these words. And it became very important that as I told the story through song, with the help of them, that it was put in a metaphorical context so that I needed to protect myself, and I needed to protect what I was going through and deflect certain aspects of it. Because when you go public, you're also needing to go private. So somebody always told me, you hide your secrets in plain view, and those who are perceptive will understand and decode what they mean. So I made a choice to go public, but I also made a choice to put it in code language, because I felt that that's what I needed to do in order to, have a music career. And you're not an actor when you're a musician. You're not just playing a role, you're exposing your own life. So I needed to find a way to do that and yet protect myself.
Shifting gears a little bit, you're now, so now here we are, 20 years later, you're the mother of a teenage daughter. How terrifying is that? I wonder, can you talk about the struggles that teenage girls face and what advice you have for teenage girls?
Well, I think we've all been reading a lot about the holidays that happen when they go off as a group. And unfortunately now with social media, how something that might have happened in Ocean City with a few of your friends now is a global exposed event. With the binge drinking, it's very worrying for all of us who have teenagers in our life, because with alcohol involved, then what could have been just an evening, a nice party, and maybe a kiss in the corner can become a tragedy. And so having these discussions, though, with teenagers who think, why are you talking to me about this? It's very difficult. I hear a lot of mothers and fathers talk about it because sometimes the teenager can't see the potential danger. They can't see it, and they think we're just being curmudgeons. And it's weird looking in the mirror and saying, I'm a curmudgeon. I'm overreacting. I mean, I'm the girl who was in red leather pants. A girl went to school with me, Monica, who remembers that, I'm sure, that we were rebels. We fought authority. And so when you're looked at as the authority, it's a very strange place to be. So how do we get that to the teenager? How do we make them aware that these situations can happen and how to protect themselves and how to have a buddy system so that one of them stays sober and gets them all home? Tash told me, oh, Mom, you know, we're thinking about going to Ibiza when you're 16. I said, oh, I'm thinking about having a villa on Ibiza at the same time. That's your bad. Yeah, no way. That girl, I'm going to be stalking her. So if you're following her, you're going to see this red-headed kind of thing with a hat on, not far behind. Maybe with a beard. Me and Conchita.
I also wanted to ask about the ways in which motherhood has changed you as a person, as an artist, and also as a survivor of sexual assault. I know that you said that that was a key in your recovery. I wonder if you could talk about that a little.
Well, when I was pregnant, I became a beached whale, and that's fine. She was kicking out voices, things that I had held on to, and I didn't want to hold on to. It's not that you want to, but they're there, and you realize they're there, and you can't scrub them out. There's nothing you can take or drink or pill that can stop the voice. So therefore, I began to realize at a certain point that other voices were with me, and that began Scarlett's Walk. And she seemed to be kicking out these very poisonous messages and patterns that had developed in my mind. And I began to realize that she was a very active part of this pregnancy. She was very active. And she wasn't standing for it. She wasn't going to have this crap in her life. And she wasn't going to have it with us, since I was the house. So she was exterminating it, which was great. And that was really a huge shifting point and a healing point. So that then the role of mother, as you all know, those of you who have had that journey and those who are mothers that might be nurses, they're mothers here in all different ways that might not be physical mothers, but you might be the mother of your tribe or your clan, and many men take the role of nurturing force. So that really shifts something when the focus isn't just on your little old life and where the world can revolve around your navel, and we can all get involved in the narcissism, and then you think, no, I want to think about what this person is saying to me. I want to listen to what you have to say to me. And that's what she did for me, and does every day.
That openness that you're describing, it actually brings to mind a question from somebody here that I thought was very perceptive. They wondered, your writing about your personal experiences has inspired a lot of people to confide their stories in you, and that your openness to them seems to be one of those things that informs and inspires your work. And they wondered, is it a challenge to maintain that openness, that willingness to take it all in?
I've done some work over the years whereby you work on neutrality and focus and being present in the moment. So when you're able to do that, then don't you see, that's where all the magic happens. If you're 5 hours from now, then you're not really present. You're somewhere else. And sometimes we're just bored, and that's fine. We all get bored. Or our brain is doing something else. But if you're able to really be present with someone and really listen, really listen to what they're saying, then it's quite amazing. Time stops for a moment. And you think, this is where people might call it God, I don't know, inspiration, but that's where it is in the moment because you're able to be present. And you find that a lot of people are not able to be present. So talking with people and just being grounded and listening to them makes you a very different person than when you're just shaking your head and not listening. It's a very different experience. And so people, I don't know if you've really ever listened to your own stories, because I am the benefactor of listening to yours and many other people's. But I don't know if you're able to listen to your own. I'm able to listen to my own through music, but a lot of my stories are a collaboration of other people's stories as well.
Well, thank you, Tori. I think that you've been an inspiration to everybody here. I can feel everybody really hearing you right now, and we just want to thank you for your time and for sharing with us.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you guys. You're the best. You're the best. And the truth is this: we need each other. At different times, one of you is stronger than another of you. One of you is stronger than I am in that moment. And we just know. We look in each other's eyes and say, okay, she's slipping. That's okay. Maybe it was a bumpy ride from Boston. My father said to me, this is a moment of listening. But he is 85. So he goes, hi, honey, how you doing? I said, I'm in hell. What'd you say? Where are you? I said, I'm in purgatory. He goes, what'd you say? I said, I'm in Boston. I love Boston, but the ride. So when you're on a bus all night, sometimes then you don't get any sleep. Sometimes you're in an exhausted place, and I'll be out there to meet and greet, and somebody will just hold my hand and say, okay, breathe. I say, okay. She goes, I'm giving you a hug. Like this woman over here. She just gives me a hug. So I want to thank you for all the hugs, and there are lots more coming from me, and you're the best, and for dedicating yourselves and giving to RAINN, the time you all put in, the effort. It does make a difference. That's the incredible thing. When we were hearing, one of the shocking things when I realized with the military, how many sexual assaults were occurring, and that they were more male than female. Not that each one isn't a tragedy, whether it is male or female, but as Scott said, that is one time in our outreach that we learn that the abuse towards men is real as well. We don't emphasize it as much because it is more in this area. But it is something that is something we've had to become aware of. And so for the men who have been through this as well, I think the women who have been through it, there's a solidarity that we need to have as survivors together, that it's not gender-based, but survivors are survivors, and that we're all there for each other. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Tori. And thanks to everyone for being so present as she's shown us how. So, thank you for coming. And in a few minutes, we're going to start everyone's favorite meet and greet. So check the card on your table.